You already know we live, baby. We live. Sometimes we do it to be informative. And sometimes we do it.
Not tonight.
Sometimes we do it for the streets. The streets of Nashua. Mean streets of Nashua. Actually, Dave's not from Nashua.
Nope.
No. All right, let me introduce my guest, man. This is the most requested from all our fans, which is
my mom.
Don't forget my mom.
Yep.
3 people requested these guests. 3. So
Started
you
from
gotta
the bottom. Now we're here.
You gotta do it for the people. You know what I mean? You gotta take care of the people. If they ask, then you gotta give it to them. So we got some special guests. How special, Chris?
Extremely special. 2 of my favorite guys in the fucking world.
If you had to describe them, you know what I mean? If you had to describe these guests in like 5 words or less,
You better say handsome.
he's panicking.
He's choking.
Illiterate.
Yup.
That's me.
Leadership.
Dave.
Like leadership with a question mark after?
Definitely a question mark.
Like leadership?
Definitely a question mark.
All right.
You suck
Good
at
Good.
fathers.
Great step down.
Honest and handsome, though. I'll say that, though.
That's a hell of a
Yeah.
yes. We got you guys are inspirational, but we'll get to the inspirational stuff after because there's so much other shit that I want to say. So we got my man Andy Erickson in the building. All construction, all carvings, all detailing, anything construction. He does
AC
it all.
Homes.
AC Homes.
Yeah.
And we got my man, Mr. Dave Balfour, one of the co-founders of Look Fresh. What is it? Feel Fresh.
Look good, feel good.
Project Look Good, Feel Good.
Project Look Good,
There we
Feel
go.
Good. Dope ass program for the community out there doing the damn thing. Dave the Barber over at Rise Barbershop. He's repping right now. He wants to give a special shout out to
Buckets.
calling the buckets. You know what I mean? Two guys that are in the recovery community, but are also doing the damn thing with work. You know what I mean? Andy has a construction company that employs all guys that are in early recovery, providing a safe space for guys in the trades to work, which is dope. Dave, you work at Rise Barbershop, part of the Look Good, Feel Good program, which is the donations of haircuts and all types of stuff. You go to different houses and centers, you hook guys up with haircuts. Right now, you're doing the underground bootleg Corona cut.
Yeah, hush, hush.
Allegedly.
Definitely not at all construction either.
Definitely not at Andy's warehouse.
Don't hit him up on Facebook for a haircut.
Do
Don't.
not.
But if you happen to be by on Friday afternoons,
I'm usually there.
Come by, get a detail and a cut. Once again,
That's
this
it.
podcast is sponsored by Rich Print Shop.
Yeah.
Rich Print Shop in the building. We got both of the owners and the founders of this prestigious company, Rich Print Shop. We got my brothers, Dominic and Trey, both in the building. You know what I mean? One day we'll have mics over there, but right now we can't afford it because they are our only sponsor and they contribute nothing to the podcast except 2 T-shirts. They give us 2 T-shirts.
And a mug.
Hit 'em
Coffee
up.
mugs, yeah.
Yep.
Hit him up.
Oh, hell yeah. Hit them up. Follow them. They don't have an Instagram. We established that, but richprintshop.com. Okay, so let's get into it.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Let's
Me
get
too.
into it. All right, so these guys, right? I said some nice stuff about them.
It was hard.
Yeah, you
Those
sucked
5
at it.
words, I was like, man.
Well,
nice things?
Chris is super pumped because he's usually the little nervous Nelly on this show, and he gets so confident when like other guests come on that are
A little bit more nervous.
a little more nervous. Yeah. 'cause
Well, he did so good last show.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
Killed it.
Mr. Labarge,
Can I speak?
do you mind if I speak real quick?
No? Okay.
No, I'll
Nope.
just,
Just cut my mic. Cut
yep,
it.
yeah, I'm good.
But now but just like when we had Craig on here, Craig the barber, and we had
Homer.
he was empowered. You could see the
Big
power.
dick energy, yeah.
Oh man, he was like,
I walked in. I was like, I'm going to own tonight.
He
I'm
came
going to
in,
own.
kicked the table over, banged his chest 3 times. Yeah,
I was ready for it. I'm ready for it tonight,
He
too.
alphaed, and he's alpha on you guys right now too. So,
Smell my musk.
Oh, no.
but again, what you got to understand is probably 15 people are going to watch this. And also, we edit it, so you can't fuck this up.
Yeah.
You literally can't fuck this
Well,
up.
Andy will fuck up a wet dream, so.
I love wedges.
He's already, dude. You got to talk into the. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Perfect.
So I've been dying to get Andy on the podcast, and I know Chris has been dying to get Dave. I love both of them, but Andy, we have a cool story. When I met Andy over a year ago, and he was one of these guys. Was it over a year ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like almost 2 now.
Almost 2 years ago, and he was one of those guys that was trying to tell me that oh man. First off, he's one of the most talented guys I've met in a long time in contracting and construction. He can do it, literally. He's one of those guys that he'll present as stupid, but he's not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what I used to do when I didn't want to do things. Like I would pretend like, how does this go? So
Yeah.
someone would
for
come
you.
over and do it for me.
Yep.
But Andy knows how to do most things. But when I met him, first off, I heard about him because he got kicked out of one of the houses that I own
Several times.
several times. Yeah, so I never met him
Shout out
officially.
Big Sean.
Yeah, and then when I did meet him, he was trying to tell me how he was doing good because he just drinks every now and then and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah. And he wasn't living at home with his wife and kids, and he was driving this little beater truck, and
No reverse.
no reverse in the truck, and
Just killing it.
yeah, he didn't really have a stable place to live, but he was like convinced mentally that he had figured out this alternate way to like do recovery, and
It made sense to me.
Wasn't there a GHB involved?
Yeah, several times.
Nice.
yeah, those are my favorite people. I fucking love the challenge of someone's warped perception of what recovery is, and also you're an Aquarius, and I'm an Aquarius, and there's a natural bond between people with the Aquarius sign because you're very similar in nature. You actually reminded me a lot of myself in early recovery. Just the way you were with people, you know what I mean? Even at that time, you didn't have your shit together, but you were putting other guys to work. You were like picking guys up and bringing them to meetings, even though you needed the fucking meeting. You know, you were like helping guys out, like giving away money you didn't have, hiring guys when you could barely afford to hire yourself, and all this stuff. And I just remember having a ton of conversations with you about this stuff, and I was relentless with you, and we had multiple conversations about this stuff. But at some point, you became teachable, which was cool. And you not only did you become teachable, but you embraced recovery as a whole, which is the community component. You started to align yourself with other people that were like-minded and similar in belief systems. And I saw your path and your process begin, and I've watched you flourish over the past 2 years, not only in recovery, but also in your relationship. You're allowed back at home.
I am in the big bed.
Isn't that a big deal?
Yeah, it's great now. My kids like me. My girlfriend, but should be wife, loves me.
Yeah.
Can't beat it.
Shout out Chrissy.
Shout out Christy.
Yeah. Shout out,
Christy.
Christy. You better get
She
a
put
ring
up
on.
with me for a long time.
God bless her, man.
God bless anybody that decides to love us at some point in our lives. You know, it's definitely not easy to have any kind of relationship, whether it's a relationship of like intimacy with a significant other, or it's a relationship with a family member, a relationship with a child. Like it's definitely a process, and I've watched you go through all those over the past couple of years. It's just been dope to watch, and we'll come back to you in a second because I want to introduce my man Dave, my man Dave in the building. Because what was it the last time? I told you I was going to bring this up, and I have to because it's fucking hilarious. It was like probably 2 years ago. Was it around 2 years ago?
Coming up.
Yeah.
I just remember I seen all these posts like, congrats, Dave. Moving up. He was, you were in our program. And you got picked to go be a house manager of this new up and coming program that was up the street. And everybody was like, so proud of you, get it, and all this stuff.
Killing
and I
it.
remember a lot of people telling you it wasn't a good idea, but you know,
Self will run riot.
that's it. You know what I mean? We start to sort through our own clutter to get to our own clarity, and we come up with these fucking
Great ideas.
Great ideas,
$1
yeah.
million idea, really.
Yeah, and then we threw a parade for you. I'm pretty sure there was bands, live
Yep.
bands
Yeah.
playing.
It was
rolled out
trending on Twitter. At
trending
one point.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down on the tree streets.
Dancing
Yep.
midgets, you know.
And then I was like, I remember being like, "Oh, Michelle, how's Dave doing?" Be like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure he stole all the rent." And
Homeless in fucking Manchester.
oh man, yeah, that was exactly how it went. And then to watch you come back around and do this again. So here's the thing, right? And I tell people all the time when they start to beat themselves up about relapse and recovery. It doesn't have to be a part of recovery, but the odds are that at some point you will experience it. And like my biggest inspiration is the warriors, and I call them warriors that are relentless in the pursuit of this life, right? Trying to turn it around, and how much easier it is to just give up, because you see a lot of people just give up. Their pride doesn't allow them to try again, to try to do this again, to ask for help again, to reach out to people again, to go back to a program again. And like when I see people continuously picking themselves up off the fucking ground and just dusting themselves off and just going back at it, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we all understand this shit isn't easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and it takes a lot of effort and pursuit for us to it is the most rewarding thing we could ever do, but it is the hardest thing that we will ever do.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things that we have to go through, and to watch both of your process and to be relentless in this pursuit. It was very easy to get caught up in perception, right? Oh, I don't want to do this all over again. I don't want to go back into meetings. I don't want to reach out. I don't want to talk about my story. It's very easy to run from that, the emotions of that.
Mm-hmm.
What's strong is to come back and to just take accountability and be like, I fucked up. That's why we're able to joke about it. Like, we have a group of friends that, like, we put it out there. We're able to find humor in our frailty.
Yeah, if you don't fuck with your friends, it's not happening.
Andy,
Oh.
speak into
I had to move.
yeah.
Well, when I relapsed after doing my great sober house idea with my buddy, coming back was I was like, there's no way I could ever show face in Nashua again. Like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I remember the first day I came off the druggy buggy at a meeting. I seen Chris. He was like the one person I didn't want to see. And he just gave me a big hug, and I was like, all right, I can do this. You know, there's people here that love me in Nashua, and Nashua's where I come to do the right thing.
So it kind of plays in when, you know, that whole fiasco, which I don't even know if that's what really the money thing happened, but Dave was coming in, right, and he was bringing 5 guys plus into Keystone where it got clean, and he was speaking at the men's meeting on Saturday. And he would come in, get us all gassed up. You know, we talk about 12 steps and like really like get us motivated. And it was cool to see like someone like, you know, doing the right thing. He's like, and this is the stuff I've gotten back. I got family back. And it like really inspired us. And I remember like one weekend, Dave didn't come back. And we found out like, yeah, he's out getting high. And it was like the most crushing thing, because that's how I learned to like not put people on like a pedestal, you know? And then, I remember you coming back to that meeting. Because, dude, you just look so beaten. And when I hugged you, I could like touch my arms, which I can't now.
Oh yeah, that'll never happen again.
Yeah, but it was it's crazy to see your transformation. You know.
Yeah.
But
no, it's my favorite. It's my favorite part of all things recovery is to watch this miracle take place and to watch it click for people, right? Because there's a valuable lesson within all our fuck ups, and we got to understand that the blessing comes through the lesson. But if we don't take the time to understand why we fall short, then we're going to be repetitive in the mistakes that we make. But if we take the time to take the information that was presented to us in those fuck ups, we can use it to benefit us moving forward. It's necessary information that we require. We require in order for us to take that next step in progress and becoming who it is that we ultimately want to become. And I've seen you guys do that. You know, I've seen the application of that. And I understand that this shit isn't easy, you know, but part of like what makes it easier is the connections that we make. That's why I'm a firm believer that it's connection, honesty, and relentless communication are the fundamentals and keys to success in any route that you take recovery wise. Mm-hmm. And like, I see you guys with that. You have an amazing network of friends that you utilize, the two of you, Andy. I mean, I consider myself a part of you guys' network, and I'm with Andy almost every day. I see you guys utilize those networks, and then I see you guys involved in the new guys' lives, which is ultimately the most important thing. It's the way that we keep this. It's our daily reminder of who we are capable of becoming again, you know, and we're one decision away from going back to that place, because we can never forget. Although life may present itself and try to convince us otherwise, right? The blessings become the things that start to lure us away from the thing that ultimately helped to save us. Yeah. And our disease will utilize these things to remove us from the connection component, right? And you embrace the community. You're huge in the community, Dave. And I tell you this all the time. I actually gave you a similar speech that Justin gave me a long time ago. I don't know what it is about you. I just believe in you, and I know that I'm going to invest in you someday in some sort of venture, because you're such a beautiful mind and a beautiful spirit. And I see the way your mind operates. I see how you are with people. And to me, that's the most appealing thing in anybody's character, is how they are with people. That's what made me love Andy. That's what made me hire Chris. You know, like Andy's ability to like take guys on and bring them into work. And I watch him lose money on jobs because his unwillingness to tell dudes to stay home, that there's not enough money on this job. So I watch him take L's, and I identify with that. You know, it's to our own fault, if I said that right.
Yeah.
But I empathize with that completely. And you just have these great characteristics that I foresee as becoming something very big on the larger scale. And I don't know if you guys want to get into like a short snippet. I like to go from, how do we go from that place, Andy, where you were trying to convince me that you can drink on the weekends and fucking do random drugs, to like this guy that's like principled, like committed to recovery and helping people. And like you have that dynamic, that relationship with your family again. I've met your family, amazing supportive family. You're an amazing, beautiful father. You actually inspire me as a dad to be better, because I'm learning in this process. And you don't inspire me as a husband. You make me feel good.
Shout out Sam.
Yeah, but how we got to this place to where you are now, and I consider you successful. I'm not talking about monetary.
Right.
I'm talking about successful in the relationships that you have, and the progression in the direction of your life. I classify that as success. I see you smile on a daily basis when you're at work, and I see you smile when you're around the people that you love, and that is successful to me. So how do you go from the place where you were to the place that you are now?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been to rehab a lot of times, and alcohol's always been the thing that I thought I could do just whenever, like it didn't have any effect on me. I could just go out and have some drinks, go to dinner with Christy, have some drinks, go home, and it was fine. And it wasn't until Chris sat me down one day and he's like, "Why do you even bother drinking?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I just do once in a while, it's fun." And he's like, "No, why?" And then after a conversation, it came down to, it was my emotions behind it that led me to drinking. Like, I'd feel awkward not drinking. If I went to my family's house, everyone drank, so I'd feel awkward not drinking with them. And it would all boil down to, I don't personally care about it, but when it makes me feel like I'm left out or not part of it, that's when it was in my own head. It made me think I could just do it like everyone else, and it was fine. And then after we had that conversation, I haven't drank since then, pretty much. Yeah. So,
what are the steps that you've taken though? Like, so I'm a new guy, and I'm saying, Andy, I'm still drinking, and I don't have like any, like, what are you suggesting for me to do? What are you telling me to do?
For me, it was, I hear it all the time. It's looking inward at yourself. And when I finally looked at the part where it was my feelings of trying to fit in or not being left out of something, is when I realized that it's not even the point. It's like, it's not the drug. It could be heroin, it could be anything. And the fact that it was drinking alcohol, in my head, it made me feel like it was nothing, but it was my feelings behind it that pushed me to do it.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I didn't find it necessary to do it. I learned other avenues. I talked to people and went on from there.
No. So Dave, same question. You know, how do you go from that place where you're getting off the float at the parade, you know what I mean, with fucking people throwing flowers at your feet, to...
My head couldn't get any bigger. Honestly, I when I came into rehab this last time, I said it was a 6-month program, and I said I'm going to give this next 6 months everything I got, you know, and if it doesn't work out, I'm going to go out. I'm ready to die. I want to die. Like this is my life. I've been into 100 treatment centers. I've been in every house that Rise has to offer. I've overdosed in the houses. Just like opened up sober houses. I got high in with my buddy. You know, it was just I just came to a point where it's like this is going to be the rest of my life. I'd rather die. So I went into the 6-month program, and I just really I just shut the fuck up, you know, and I gave myself. I don't think before I ever gave myself enough time just to actually think clear. Because, you know, I go to a 30-day program, and then I'd go into Rise Above, where it was just, I could just mask everything away with as much friends as I had, or, you know, find things to do to where just distract myself. This time I had to sit with myself for 6 months. And I needed that, you know, and, you know, once those 6 months were getting close, I went back to Rise, where like that's been my home now for like 3 years. It's either been on the streets or in sober living at Rise Above. And, I'm not gonna say his name, but my boss, he took a shot on me, and you know, because he knew my past. I've been trying to become a barber for 10+ years, and you know, he came in and said, you know, why don't you cut hair here?
Can we call him Schmeg?
Just Schmeg, yeah.
Schmeg, yeah.
All right.
Sounds like a good guy.
Yeah. Just
solid,
just to give it a name, you know,
Yeah. So
Schmeg Schuster.
So Schmeg Schmooster,
Schmeg Schuster.
you know, gave me a shot to chase a dream that I had, and I knew I would never get this opportunity again, and I knew I had to do things different. Before, every time I'd get out, I'd have to get the job, the shoes, and just fill all these voids, these internal voids with external factors, you know, and that was going to keep me clean. Like me and my buddy, who I grew up with, opened those. So I had 3 months sober when I did that, you know, like I just needed to conquer the world. But this time, like I just concentrated on myself, and I told myself I'm going to stay and Rise for a year, you know, like that's my next goal. And I did that. I was in the 6-month program, then I went to Rise for a year, and I just made a connection with people who were just like honest. Like I just told people where I was at every day. Like I still, like 2 weeks ago, I called Schmeg and was like, I want to get high. Like this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and he was like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That sounded stupid. You know, him and Homer, like I just got a connection of people, and Chris, Andy, you know, it's just like, I'm just surrounded by a bunch of people doing so much great things that like, it gives me hope that like I can do all that. I am capable of doing that, you know? And like, I still fall short. Like when you said at the beginning of the episode, father, like I'm an awful dad. I don't see like, I'm not perfect. I got 18 months tomorrow, and like, I haven't seen my son since Christmas, you know, but like, that's a goal I set for myself. Like the first year of sobriety, I wanted to concentrate on myself because I know my son would still be there. Like I might miss this Christmas, but next Christmas I'm going to be there, you know? And it eats me alive every day, but I know if I don't fix these things inside and get my own apartment and hold a healthy relationship with my girlfriend, like if I can't do all that, like I'd rather just not be in his life, you know, because my father was a heroin addict. I know what it's like, you know. I'd rather, if that was gonna be my life in and out of treatment, like I'm doing the kid a favor, you know, whether he knows it or not. But like now, like I know I'm capable of being a good dad. I just got my own apartment. I'm in a healthy relationship with Emily for coming up on a year now. Like shout out Emily. And like, you know, and I've held a job at the barbershop. I'm taking my barber test next month. You know, like things are coming back in my life, and like I know I'm worth it. I can do this. You know, it's just like no more self-doubt. You know, it's like you know, you coming into the shop and saying, you know, you see all these great things, and someone who I look up to, you know, that like fed my spirit. You know, and like finally I can give back and like really truly mean it. You know, which is different than the last, because I'd always give back to people, but what can you do for me? You know, I don't want anything in return. I give free haircuts all week, you know, and just seeing like the newcomers come into the shop, and, you know, first they come in with shitty shoes and, you know, got nothing, and you just give them a little haircut, and they come back the next week with a job. And, you know, that's the shit that feeds my spirit, you know.
Absolutely. And it's those little things, man. We people underestimate the value of little kind acts of kindness, right? And the value in like letting someone know that, like we talked about it on the last episode, like surround yourself with people that believe in you, right? That can see the good in you in spite of you, you know, and we need to constantly be surrounded by people like that, because I don't always see the good in myself. You know, I still struggle with self-doubt, like all this stuff. At any given day, my mind can take over and overconsume me, and I can start to give truth to thought, which I don't purposely do, but it's just how it works internally, right? We start to develop these narratives, and the only way we can unravel these narratives is through transparency, right? And the people around us, they help us. It's like when you called Craig and told him that you felt like you wanted to get high.
Yeah.
It wasn't Schmeg, my bad, Schuster. It wasn't a truth, right? But you're responsible to just communicate what's going on internally. You're never obligated to be anything other than what you actually are in this moment, right? And sometimes in the moment we're not okay. We have to be okay with not being okay. Yeah. People get it so fucking twisted, and they start to set standards for themselves, bars for themselves, levels of perfection that they have to live by. Otherwise, they can't reveal what's going on, and that's bullshit. You're setting yourself up for failure. You know, we have to allow ourselves to be in a place of vulnerability and understand that everything is going to come in peaks and valleys, right? We'll never be perfect always. You know, we have to embrace for the storm, prep for it, but live as if it's not coming, right? Like, and still find value and enjoyment in our lives in the present moment, but be in preparation through constant dialogue of what's going on with us. And I see you guys do that, and that is the most important thing that we can do in recovery. It's a development of it's like the power of connection, right? And human beings, and loving each other up and believing in each other, and like that's how we make a major effect in this thing, right? That's how we make major effects in our lives. It's the empowerment through others. Someone empowered me, so it gave me it blessed me with the opportunity to empower someone else, and then someone else will empower someone else, and then we become a powerful unit, right? A camaraderie. I feel like we have a lot of that. Yeah. We have like large groups of like friends that are just like, we can go from completely shitting on each other and mortifying each other with the stuff that we say to each other to completely building everybody up, right? Like if one of us was like, we're about to do this new thing, everybody would be like, let's do it. Yeah. We believe absolutely. Yeah. Why not us? There's no naysayers or doubters in the group.
Where do we start?
Yeah.
You said something that's so important too about, you know, you've been to treatment a million times, but this time, you know, you got into a 6-month program and like you took your time, you know, like this was my first time going into treatment, and I thought 28 days was a death sentence, right? And when I got the 90-day extension, like I bawled my eyes out because I knew 28 days wasn't enough. And I see time and time again, people come in and they just want to rush through the program and get back to that life. But like taking that time and investing in yourself, like the fog gets like cleared, you know, and then you start seeing people that are doing the right things. And, you know, the saying like stick with the winners. It was like, I wanted to stick with the people that were like found happiness. You know, I looked for people that would drive up to meetings and like didn't have the nicest things, but like just seemed like they were enjoying life. And like that just seems like what you attach to, and Andy, like what you found, especially with being honest about like your emotions and like feeling like you don't fit in, especially around family that drinks, feel the same fucking way. Yeah. Same way. And that's why I attach myself to people that have like goals and set them, and guys I can be honest with, because I got trust issues with guys. I got trust issues with women, with everyone, right? But like, you know, you call Schmeg and, you know, you tell him you want to get high. He's not like, you're an idiot, you're a piece of shit. He doesn't beat you down for it. You talk through your problems. Because any little thing, especially to this day, if I don't talk about it, whether it's with Michelle to, you know, Chris, to Nick, to Schmeg, with any Dave, Andy, with anyone, Chris, you know, it will manifest into something so big that I want to fucking blow it up.
Right. It comes to a point where if you don't say it, it's just going to keep building, and eventually you're not going to have a defense.
I snap. Yeah. I take it out on people.
And that's a big thing this time. Is just putting your ego aside and be like, I'm sure Craig felt like that some days recently too. You know, Schmeg.
We'll call him Craig for now.
Oh, yeah.
He's fine. Yeah. But no, I mean, so here's the thing, right? And this is my I stand firm in this belief system in order, because you guys have now become students to what this is, right? You have to become a student to what it is that you suffer from. We understand first and foremost, like we suffer from, I mean, you can classify it as whatever you want: solid brain disorder, disease of addiction, alcoholism, however the fuck you want to debate it. I don't care. But when we get a firm understanding of how this thing operates within us internally, we can then address it, right? That's why I say we have to understand the depths of our darkness. We can understand the light that's required in order for us to begin a process of change. And we understand first and foremost early on, especially when we first start getting this, is through our fuck ups, right? Our failures. Our failures become the most important lessons that we could have, right? It wasn't like my recovery as a whole that taught me everything that I needed to know. It was like the fucking trial and errors that led me up to when I finally got into recovery. I had to exhaust every angle. Let's like not get that shit twisted. I had to exhaust every fucking angle in order for me to be a believer. And even after I exhausted every angle, I was still a pessimist. I still somehow didn't believe completely. And this shit worked in spite of that, right? In spite of my own belief system, in spite of my own negative belief system in the beginning, it worked in spite of that because of the act of surrender. My act of surrender consisted of me allowing myself to be teachable. Right. So regardless if I thought that it was fucking crazy in order if anything would work, I accepted it anyway. And I went with it almost like with a sense of arrogance, like, all right, fuck it. I'll do it like you suggest. Yep. And then when I fuck up, then I'm going to talk shit to you. Almost like that's the type of surrender that I had. But here I am 15 years later. And I'm not only am I not a pessimist, but I'm like a fucking firm believer, like conviction in my belief systems. I believe in this more than I believe in anything else in my life, because I'm a product of it, and I'm watching you guys become products of it. And these lessons that we learn, it's like we first and foremost, what you were talking about is honesty, the honesty component, and the development of having that be a comfortable act that's within your life, right? Being able to tell the truth, and not only being able to tell the truth, but being able to hear the truth in return. Yeah, which is even fucking harder, right? And just allowing ourselves to be susceptible to criticism and letting down the ego, right? Because we're all so fucking sensitive. Everybody in this room is so fucking sensitive. Even if we hide it and laugh and all, we're all so easily devastated. I mean, you wanna fucking devastate me, squeeze my arm and be like, damn, dude, what happened? You haven't been lifting? Yep. And I'll be like, nah, dude, I'm fucking trying to get small. I'm on a fucking, on a new diet. Yeah. And then I'm fucking devastated I'm at home. I'm on the internet. You know what I mean? I'm looking up healthy supplements now because I don't want to do steroids. And now I'm trying to get creatine. It's like, but I have the ability to omit that, right? I'm responsible to my truth, and my responsibility comes with, I have to have dialogue. Yep. If I'm the only person in my life that knows the truth about me, I know for a fact I'm not in a good fucking place, because that means I'm trying to sort through this shit in me by myself. Oh, yeah. And what do we do when usually we sit down and we start to come up with the idea, and the idea is fucking crazy.
Yeah. Anytime I'm stuck with self, or was stuck with self, and I didn't work through my problems, it got me to the same answer. I was always getting high, right? I always think I could figure it out because I knew it all. That's how I always thought. And, surrender and willing to go to any lengths, when that came into play, and I started, understanding that I don't know shit, and was I remained teachable, and I listened to people, because that's the difference too. Because I would hear people talk like the Peanuts cartoon with the parents like meh, meh, meh. Wah, 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 yeah. Wah, wah, wah. But when I was able to listen to someone and take fucking direction, my life began to change. That's where ego came into play. Yeah, I know it all. Yeah, I got it. But the only thing I knew how to do was fuck up my life and get high. Honesty, remaining teachable, and just listening, man. And just taking, like Fred Bush, shout out Fred, always says, shout out Fred. Take direction. Take direction. He always said that. And those little sayings too, like I used to hear, he's a Keystone boy too. Like I was always like, that shit's so annoying, but it's so true. Even to just stay in the day.
Well, he used to say, sit down and shut up and take direction. And I remember talking to him, be like, the first part, people don't respond so well to that anymore. Now he's more like, you just got to take direction, please. Yeah. He's that old school. He's the best.
I never thought either, like, one of the first hookups I got in Nashua for like someone I felt comfortable with was Michelle, right? Was Michelle. And then like Fred, I remember first time I saw him, I'm like, oh, who's this older guy in the meeting? But I heard him speaking. Like now, I just got off the phone with him on the way here. That's someone I call to when I'm ready to jump off the ledge. Be like, all right, Chris, calm down. And he talks me off that. The relationships I built, right, in recovery, and, it's just relationships I never thought I was going to have because it was just self-seeking motives. And that goes both ways too. What did this person have to offer me? And you know what, like they probably had the same thought, the guys I was getting high with. What does he have to offer me?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Andy has this profound saying he always says. What is it, Andy?
yes.
Say that thing that you always say.
I don't know which thing you're talking about. Give me 30 seconds. I'll think of it.
You know, that quote from that book that you was telling me about. What is it?
Willy-nilly.
Andy was so terrified I was gonna throw him on the spot with stuff, so I just had to give you a layup. You could have
Send it.
Yeah, you could have hit me.
I don't know any good quotes.
You don't?
You know anything?
No.
Righty tighty,
Nothing.
lefty loosey.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I was just saying that. No, I don't. It takes me a minute to catch up. So
He actually did read a book. Well, we read a book. For those of you that wanna, it's a non-recovery related book, but it's mostly more so entrepreneurial. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. I brought it up before, but that book is a game changer. And I have this thing where I like to read books and have someone else read the books. Then my way of retention is through talking about immediately. I can't read a complete book and have a full grasp of what it is. So I like to manipulate someone else into reading the book with me, so then we can send each other links to the book and talk about it, because it's through the talking that
it was a good book. Like, I don't remember much of the book, but all the topics we talked about all the time were fantastic.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
It was about money and how to organize and positive assets versus liabilities.
All that. It's about being financially literate, right? And it's the same. It's the same aspect that you take with recovery, right? We have to, and I say it all the time. It's not about practice makes perfect. It's not. It's about perfect practice makes perfect. You have to learn how to practice before you decide to practice. A lot of people just start practicing the fucking wrong way. It's like, it's the development that we have in early recovery of our own program. It's catered specifically to us and what makes us comfortable, and then we wonder why it doesn't work, even though we're diligent in our practice of it, right? Where we're like, oh, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna do it like this, and it doesn't. And it's confusing too, because there's a lot of keys that open up a lot of doors, but there's only one key that opens up all doors. So like meetings will open up a bunch of doors, and so will like getting a sponsor will open up a bunch of doors.
Yeah.
So will getting step work will open up. Just getting clean as a whole will open up a bunch of doors, but eventually you'll get to that one last door when you're trying to take your life to the next level of ultimate freedom from self, freedom from mental prison. And that only, the one skeleton key that opens up every door is honesty.
Yeah.
Right? It's the only one that opens up all the doors. Like recovery can take you to meetings alone can take you to a certain point. You know, just staying clean will take you to a certain point. But what we're out and what we're trying to attain is something greater than that, right? Because when we get to a point of freedom from self, when we start to get some inner clarity and we're working on this stuff inside of us, we begin a process of looking for path and purpose, right? The development of a life worth living, and even an understanding of what that may look like. Even open up our minds to to new possibilities, right? Going from these peanut-sized ideas of what our lives could become to, holy shit, there's so much that
Sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit, and it's weird for us to think in terms of this, right? Because we develop these barriers that we allow ourselves to think only this much to this point for what's attainable. And then when you start to realize that the only barriers to entries that we ever have in our lives is ourselves, literally, it's just ourselves. The only one that'll ever stop Andy or you, Dave, or you, Chris, or me from getting to the place that I want to be at is myself. And to swallow that down, right? It is only and until only I take 100% responsibility for my life. It is nobody else's fault. And when I take 100% responsibility, I begin a process of all this stuff that we're talking about, dialogue constantly, communication. I have to communicate my desires just as much as I have to communicate my fears. I have to begin the process of that, right? I have to get my mind used to thinking these new ways of thinking. Even the conversations of that like with you, Andy, early on, and like the conversations that we have now, it's like it's crazy like what we're talking about. It's going from I remember when we first met and we talked about, you're an Aquarius too, so you're fucking crazy like me. So Aquarius is a very creative and thinks very, very big. You know what I mean? We don't sort through the details. We kind of just
jump right in.
We bypass. We're the kind of people, Aquarius in a nutshell. Chris watched it live and in person at my house where a fucking a package comes to get delivered. My wife's like, will you put this together? And I'm like, absolutely. And I dump out all the screws in the floor and I throw the directions out the side.
I grab the directions. Like, why are you doing that? I'm like, well, I don't fucking know now.
I fucking bypass the details and just believe in myself. I'm going to figure this shit out. I got this. Yeah, and sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. But
it gives me anxiety. It gives me anxiety thinking about that.
He's similar in nature. I mean, I remember we our first business transaction together, we flipped a house. And then in the midst of flipping the house, we decided we wanted to start a construction company. And then in the midst of starting a construction company, we just started hiring a bunch of people. And then we bought trucks. And then we had tools. Then we got a warehouse. And next thing, it's just, and now it's like detailing. It's fucking car. It's all this stuff. And his mind works like my mind. And it's like an inner belief. And to watch that become stronger and stronger. And to watch him figure out these new things that all this stuff entails, and to see the light come in somebody's eyes. Like, I remember that, and the light's still coming in my eyes. And I know you're at the beginning of that journey, and so is Chris. But I also know that you guys witness it around you from the people that you surround yourselves with. So, like, the worst thing you can do is fuck around and let one of us start to believe that these things are possible for us. See you the fuck later. You know what I mean? We get our mind fixated on like what could be, and then we take off. A lot of people like think of this as a crutch, being how we are.
A lot of people think I'm insane for literally just diving in head first and hoping for the best. Because there could be 9 million reasons something could go wrong, but there's that one chance it's perfect.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I'm a firm believer you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Absolutely.
Wayne Gretzky, you know?
Yeah.
If you're not willing to take that risk, you're never going to succeed. You know, there's risk in everything. Coming to rehab was a risk.
Yeah.
You know, going to the barbershop where I felt bad taking people's money at first because I was so bad at cutting hair.
I love
was a risk.
Was so bad.
He's fantastic.
Work in progress. You know, but eventually, you know, things pay off. I mean, I've learned a lot throughout the way. I've had a lot of fuck ups throughout the way, but
It's the only way to learn is by fucking up.
yeah,
I've learned everything by screwing it up at least once.
He just hasn't learned how to use that
you
mic.
can't talk into the mic.
That's
He's
it,
like
dude.
over here.
It should be like
he's literally, I learned, I just don't, it's right here. That's it. He's just going to speak to the middle of
well,
it.
it's hard not to turn.
Yeah.
You can do it. I believe in you. But go ahead, Dave.
I
What
guess.
were
No,
you saying?
he fucked me all up.
Oh,
It's his fault.
it wasn't me.
He fucked me all up.
Now you learn from it.
One thing was difficult for me besides like being like speaking my truth and being honest was like asking another man for help, right? Like that was because I'm the type of person I'll fucking hurt myself instead of asking for direction. You know what I mean? But asking for like guidance and stuff like that, and probably that plays into fear a little bit too, like judgment. You know, someone saying no, fear of failure too.
That was always a crutch for me too, is never asking anyone for help on any aspect. Like if I couldn't figure it out myself, it just wouldn't happen. I would never ask, even in business, I would never ask people for help before.
Yeah.
I would just figure it out on my own. And then when I finally learned how to like communicate with other people and say, hey, what are you doing on this? Or how you do this? Everything was better. Like,
So much easier.
Yeah, it is when you have a network for anything, business, recovery, family. It's just,
We talk about credit and like, you know, doing you know, saving money and stuff, and I like talking to some of the guys at the office and in my life now, like Chris and stuff, and it's like it's possible to like get your credit to like where it should be. You know, I thought 500 was good. Like I had no
That's
idea
great.
what credit was. Yeah, I had no idea what, you know.
I started out with a 430 maybe.
When I heard, I felt so much better too.
Yeah.
But to hear like there's a solution to it, and like I've done it, and you know, you do a lot of reading as well. And like I kind of read, like, you know, I'm way better at reading than fucking Dave. He's terrible.
Yeah, that's bad.
But you know, like I'm fortunate to have someone like you, because you read a whole book on like I think it was like taxes or mortgage or whatever when you're doing flipping
All
the
the
house.
books.
So like I need that, and if I didn't ask for help, then I would have just like let it fucking go, and like now it's like my credit's at a good spot, and it's like it's where it should be for a person my age.
Well, you know what got me to read books, right? Is pain. So it's the same. I mean, I'm like not this like profound book reader up until like the last 3 to 4 years, because the pain got great enough through my lack of. You can only skip over the directions of things for so long before it becomes painful, and then and there's information out there. And when I became a seeker of information, lo and behold, life became a lot easier, especially in the entrepreneurial world. I've always been a seeker of spiritual information and spiritual guidance. but then to move on to like stuff like taxes and
Yeah.
and credit and all that stuff. But going back to like that fear component, right? And like when you start to go and progress into life and it's a lot easier to take the steps as far as like natural progression of like figuring out what it is that you want to do for work, maybe taking a risk, going to school, you want to start a business, all these things that like you desire to do. When you do the work on yourself inward, there really isn't a lot of fear moving forward, because the scariest thing that you can ever do is to break yourself down piece by piece and allow yourself to be seen from another human being, right? That is for me the scariest process of anything I ever did. And when I allowed myself to finally be seen and to start to communicate the dialogue that I was having with myself, when I started to understand that it didn't define who I was just a product of my current circumstances, that my health, my mental health, you know what I mean? And I didn't completely understand 100% how I suffered, right? So I started to attach all these things that I thought of myself as truths about myself, right? I am this certain way. This is who I am. And the dialogue from which I spoke to myself was very negative. It was very fear-driven. It was anytime I thought that maybe I could have an opportunity, I didn't take the risk, because my dialogue was like, we're going to fail. Or any relationship I had, I was always scared that they would leave, or I'd always sabotage it and leave first. I'd always put up these defense mechanisms and protections to keep me from feeling pain or to feel any type of negative emotion. And so the process of unraveling that, I mean, when we talk about like being in the process of a self-evolution and self-exploration, that's the most terrifying thing that you can ever do, right? To truly look at yourself and learn about yourself. Because let's be honest, we don't really know who we are in the beginning. I still don't know completely who I am and what I'm capable of in this current moment. I have a general idea which guides me forward. At least I have a target to aim at. But in the beginning, I was like, where the fuck am I? Who am I? What do I like? Who are my friends? Like,
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah,
He still does that.
I do. I do weird hands. But it's like, it's fucking scary, especially in the beginning when you don't know that's a part of your process, right? When you don't know, like, hey, asshole, that's how you're supposed to feel. Like you're making it worse for yourself by hiding and suppressing the emotions and the inner turmoil that you're going through. Like you're the only one that thinks you're hiding. You know what I mean? We all know you're fucked up and crazy. Like, or if no one knows, that's even scarier, because there's nothing worse than fucking hiding in plain sight and like having to pretend, right? And I've been there too before, where we're really good at dressing up the outside and presenting ourselves as something, and then getting the reward component of that, which is like, hey, you're doing good. Keep up the good work. Hey, you look good. Keep up the good work. I'm proud of you. And we start to buy into the hype of that. Oh, I must be doing good, even though we're fucking dying on the inside, right?
Yeah. You know how long I'd go out and throughout the day, people were like, "Oh, Dave this, Dave that. He's the best. He's the man." But then I go home at night and I'd cry myself to sleep. You know, like it's for years. That's what I would do, because I was so sick and inside. I just knew it was just I was a ticking time bomb until I relapsed again. Because I'm a firm believer, like you were talking about a little bit, like you're a product of your environment. Like if you're gonna come in early recovery and hang out with guys eating Johnnies and sleeping with this girl and so concentrated on the drama part of it, like the bad side of recovery, in my opinion, that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna fall. Like if you hang out with single men, you're gonna do what single men do. If you hang out with guys who are eating Johnnies, but if you hang out with guys who are entrepreneurs and who are really trying to help, that's what you're gonna do.
I love how you like waved to me like I was part of that.
No. He skipped past.
He's like,
He did
oh man.
Someday.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I was like, no way.
You are a product of the people you surround yourself
Yeah.
with, but sometimes you don't even know, like, especially in early on, it's tough to seek out who's what and stuff like that.
I
But
could sniff I mean, I think we could all sniff out the bullshit though. Like some guys, you hear them, especially like you go into meetings and stuff, you hear him speak and you're like, fuck this guy, dude. Because you just see like his actions aren't like, matching up with like how he's portraying himself in a group full of women. And you know what I mean? Because like that, let's be real, early recovery, that's what 90% of guys are going to meetings for. Women, no solution.
yeah, but see, me, someone with time, I look at that guy and I see what's happening, right? I can understand someone's in pain by them overacting or by them trying to, the stronger their facade. That and I actually get shit from a lot of people because they're always like, you always just see the good in people. you know, and that might be
You're able to see that now, though, right?
Of course, early on, it's. I mean, I perceive guys like that in the meeting differently. You know what I mean? Whereas it's for you, and then again, there's a different set of responsibility that comes with that. Like someone early in recovery, stay away, and someone that's been around for a lot longer. I'm drawn to the guys that think they can still drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm actually drawn to the guy that robs the
I don't think
sober
that
house.
anymore.
You know what I mean? I'm drawn to the woman that paroles to me from the prisons. You know what I mean? I hire those people. Those are my favorite
Shout out,
people
Michelle.
because I was the guy in the meeting for many years that was quoting literature and acting the exact opposite when I left there.
Yeah.
What are you? There was when you who am I when no one was watching, right? And who I was when people were watching and who I was when no one was watching was completely separate. I had two separate lives. I had two separate sets of friends. I had two separate sets of identities. I had two separate sets of belief systems. I had two separate sets of everything. So there was constant turmoil. It's like the good wolf, bad wolf effect, right? Which one are we? It's whatever one you're feeding. And I equally fed both at all times, which constantly led me in a place of emotional disaster. It was the emotional roller coaster. You know what I mean? I would constantly just be out there and having to perform full time in any circle that you put me in loss of identity, the self-exploration, like who the fuck am I? You know, like being in that place of just like constant struggle. That's why I'm drawn to people like that, because I remember the pain that I felt when I was in that place.
Yeah.
Because it's a dark place. And the harder people hide and the more they try to be perceived as something, the more that they are dying on the inside. Yeah. I also know that. That's
facts.
That's my belief system, because you only try to overcompensate so much when we're trying to hide something, you know, and it's all in time, and we all go through this process with the level of comfortability that we are with exposure of how we're doing, how we're truly doing. But when you learn to master that, when you learn to master your truth, then you have that key that unlocks all doors, right? That's what takes the heroin addict from Lynn and turns him into this, the life that I see. And that's why you have that perspective when you talk to Schmeg Schuster and he's telling you about how I was, because you've only always known who I am now.
Yeah.
Right. And it's that key that got me from that point to this point, and everything in between has just been me opening the doors that I've been opening through the exposure of what's going on internally. And it's having to humble yourself, right? It's like you're in this position now where you work in treatment. You'll be in a predicament where you're going to have to talk about where you're really at, and that where you're at is going to be worse than where the guy in the program is currently in. Mm-hmm. You're going to be in a place and in a spot that's more fucked up than the guy with fucking 2 weeks or a week clean. And can you tell the truth then? You know? And those are the challenges that we face on this, because our pride tells us, shh, don't say nothing. You don't want to be looked at like that. Well, you have this, people respect you. Yeah. People look up to you, right? You own the company. You can't show weakness. And that's the trap that gets us. That's the trap that gets a lot of people. It's like, meh. That's why it's don't put me on a pedestal. Yeah. Don't want to be there. Don't want to be there. I don't got good balance. And I'm not going to be able to stay up there. And I will fall often, you know. So take me off of whatever pedestal. And when you get in front of that and just, I am who I am, you know. And I can only be who I am in this moment. And I do my best, right? And that's all we can ask for, is do the best you can to do the best you can. And if the best you can today is fucking terrible, then that's what it is. And we learn from the terribleness and we try to be better for the next day. Andy, tell me about that thing now.
I was talking to you.
You were talking about before the shows.
Before that thing
that could get intense. No.
That song you were gonna sing? How'd it go?
Dave was rapping for us. That wasn't me.
Actually.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. All right, and we're back. We had to take a quick tinkle break. Andy has a weak bladder.
It's always Andy.
Yeah, man. You want to talk about it, or is that personal?
Well, you know, I'm getting old now.
Yep. What are you, 49?
So that's close.
Close.
37.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Couple, 2 or 3 years off.
You're on the back
9. I believe you're 2 days older than me.
You don't know that. You can't prove that. I just turned 33, the big 3-3, Larry Bird, you know what I mean? It's just young.
So I'm 32 then.
Yeah.
What are you? 33.
Yeah, I'm 37 years young, man. And I'm feeling like I'm finally getting old, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And you're looking like you're getting old.
Dude,
Botox.
I got sunburn. I'm like sunstroked out.
Well, one of the first charges that when we started, I gave Andy a credit card. We opened up a bank account together for the construction, and I seen a charge for Botox.
I do gotta say, with my hairline, shout out Brian Santora.
Shout out Scalp New England.
Yeah, I do look a little,
It's
little
fire.
younger. Yeah,
Yeah, they're an unofficial sponsor now too.
Yep.
We'll put a little thingy. Nico does a little logo.
Right
Scalp
there.
New England.
Yeah.
Blaze my man Dave's head up,
Brought the
looking
hairline
good.
back.
Hairline back. I'm about to hit him up.
And you can go to a New You in Merrimack. They do a great job. Botox. I don't even. It's something else, not Botox.
thanks, Andy.
You're welcome.
Andy,
Oh.
you're here.
You're on the show.
You're on the you're here, and sometimes it's okay, people. He forgets where he's at.
I tell you, I need a delay.
Squirrel.
So many times we'd be driving in the truck, and I'll say something to him, and he'd be like, "What's that?" And I'll be like, "Wait a minute." And he's like, "Oh, all right. It's the like 30-second delay."
I can look at a house and visualize everything, but if you ask me a question, it takes me like easy 20 seconds to catch up.
Oh, absolutely. It's actually fucking incredible now. It's incredible to watch.
He just spouts out some quote that you asked like 25 minutes. 25
20,
minutes.
25,
25.
20,
I should have Googled one.
25. Shout out Ryan. He'll love that one, dude,
Oh,
even though
man.
he'll never watch this.
No.
All right, so questions, man, questions, and I love giving advice to our younger self or our early on recovery self, man, because we have such an in-depth perspective of the struggle and the turmoil that we were once in, and like what the mindset was in early recovery. You know, like for me, my advice is always the same. It's that convention speaker, and I bring her up all the time, man. That just shows how much of an effect she had on me. But if I tell you the truth about me, would you still love me? And that process that began for me of being brave enough and humble enough to allow my truth to be heard. So like to go back to my younger self to tell in early recovery to save me from pain. It's like, don't be so scared of revealing like who you are and what your pain is, right? Pain is the thing that will connect you to the solution that you're actually seeking out, and to understand that what I'm actually in a process of trying to attain is not what I once thought it was, right? My younger self thought the external accomplishments.
Motherfucker, I got that. I didn't want to say anything. You were going good.
Go ahead, I'll eat it.
Accomplishments?
Yeah, my
Accomplishments?
Yeah, my external accomplishments were gonna provide the meaning and fill that void in me that I was trying to fill. And if I could talk to my younger self, it would be like, do the work, kid. Do the work, like fix you, so that when you do receive the rewards and the blessings that life has to offer, that you can actually be present enough to enjoy them, to have the emotional connection to them. Because there's nothing more painful than having a life full of beautiful things that you don't appreciate and that you have no true emotional connection to. And that's why you see so many people try to skip past the work part and go right to the reward part. And when you do that, it's not sustainable. Everybody in this room has, I mean, Andy, you grew a whole business from the ground up prior to ever meeting me. We're flipping $1 million homes and all that, and lost everything. You had everything that you could ever wanted, and that didn't provide the fulfillment to give you sustainable long-term recovery and relationships with your family, with your son, your daughter, your wife, and all that. And it didn't do the same for me either. So it's like, that piece of advice for me is like, just stop being a prideful fuck. You know, you're not as uniquely fucked up as you think you are, and everything that you're afraid of revealing is the key to bringing you to the relief that you're so desperate for. So like, what do you think you would tell yourself, Dave, beginning of the process?
Give myself enough time to see the miracle. You know, give myself enough time to get clear-headed and to realize my capabilities. Take the steps that you're supposed to go through to get to that point of reward. You know, and I don't mean like the 12 steps or nothing like that. Like, I mean like, go to rehab, do the best you can. Go to sober living, get a part-time job, get a get-well job. You always, you know, get a sponsor, raise your hand at meetings. It was just, I just wanted it all at once. I was going into meetings, raising my hand, going into commitments high, telling everyone how to stay sober. You know,
I just thought he was tired.
and itchy.
Yeah.
You know, but just give myself enough time. And like, if I hold I mean, Seth and Craig always telling me that, like, if you sacrifice now, like, you're going to be making the money we're making right now. Like, you're going to be able to get an apartment. You're going to, you know, be able to fix your credit. You know, just watch what I do, and you'll get there. And it's there now. It's proof is in the pudding now. Like, if I just shut the fuck up and do it and take people's suggestions who've gone through it, like, good things will happen. You know, I just never gave myself enough time because I always knew the best. I always had what I wanted to do, self-will. You know, I knew what was best, you know.
Yeah, we have to be patient in our process, in all processes, but we have to be patient and understand that these good things come in time and that nothing good comes easy.
Right.
And that it comes with the sacrifice, and it comes with uncomfortabilities, and it comes with going without, and it comes with just having blind faith that things will work out, which is a struggle and a grind. It's a struggle and a grind in recovery. It's a struggle and a grind in entrepreneur world. It's a struggle and a grind at a job, because you have to work hard without being shown like this is exactly what you're going to get for your hard work. You just have to trust and believe that you will be okay, and you will, right? But it's hard to buy into that concept, and especially in early recovery, because we've been let down by ourselves. And even if we do believe for a second, we start to tell ourselves, well, maybe I'll fuck this up, right? Or whatever that is. But just to have blind faith. They say we walk by faith, not by sight. I love that, because that's truly what it is. And to have that belief in yourself, and to surround yourself with people that on the days that you don't believe in yourself, that can believe in you for you to keep you going. Like you talk about Seth and you talk about Craig telling you like you're going to be good, you know, and I had a similar conversation with Craig, like you're going to be good. Like you can have a barbershop. And like someone had a similar conversation with me, like you can open up your own dancing school and all that. And that was Justin and my old sponsor, Nate. You know what I mean? And someone had a similar conversation with them prior to, and that's just how this shit goes. And the collective, right? When there's enough of us around that have walked that path, that it's come true for, the easier it is for the new guys to look around in these circles and be like, okay,
I can do this.
I can do this. Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing to watch. So Andy, what would you give you for advice? You wanted questions.
If I had to give myself advice, there's so many different ones, but it would be not to be scared of success, because at certain points in my life, didn't matter what it was, whether it was motocross or entrepreneurship, because I've always worked for myself for the most part my entire life, I would always have the ability to get work when no one else had work, or have a lot of money. But I would have all the money and I'd have to bring, I guess, everyone around me with me. I'd always buy everyone everything. And then even if I didn't have it, I'd still find a way to get it for someone else. And then eventually I got sued, went bankrupt. And then when I had nothing, I thought money was always my problem. Like I thought people only loved me for money. They only wanted me around because I buy things, wanted this, wanted that because of what I could do for them. I never thought it was because I was actually good at a lot of things, and people tried, like they would do what I would do because I was doing it. Like if I was hitting this jump, they'd hit it because I did it. I thought it was the opposite way. I thought it was, I don't know where I was going with that, but
we're all now dumber after listening to that.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much it'd be patience, ask for help from other people ahead of me that would say, don't blow your money, save your money, invest your money, or it's just simple things like that. But I always thought I knew everything and could do it all on my own. And ultimately it didn't work because I would hold it all in and then I'd blow up and then I would turn to drugs as a relief. And then when I got hurt I fell off a roof and got prescribed opiates, and that's when I just didn't care about anything anymore. Money, nothing. I didn't work for years because I thought money was the problem. But I would tell myself, just be patient. Don't be scared of improving your life when you can. It's easy. You just have to focus and believe and have faith that no matter what you do, it's gonna work. Like, yeah, you're gonna fail. You're gonna screw up a lot. You're gonna want to give up, but you don't. And then afterwards, you're good. Everything's better. You feel good about yourself. So
For sure. And there's a mental preparation, especially going into stuff like business. And you talk about the early on failures and that feeling of like, oh, I have to put people on, I have to take care of people. And then when you had nothing, you start to classify yourself as that was what your value was in the relationship that you had. And maybe it was. I don't know your past, but I know that your value that you have now and your most valuable asset has nothing to do with your work. And your most valuable asset is who you are as a human being. It's the same asset that Dave has and the same asset that Chris has. Because if it wasn't your most valuable asset, I wouldn't consider you guys people that I genuinely loved, right? And that asset is your unconditional love for the fellow man, for the fellow addict, for the fellow sick and suffering, and the willingness to embrace, right? Like I watched you recently step up for a friend that was in need more than any normal person would do. I watched you go to a house and one of your friends got caught up and consumed in this disease and they had a child, and I saw you go and pick up that child and bring that child home and take care of that child while you allowed these friends go get help. And I saw you assume that responsibility, and it was a newborn. You know, I'm calling you at night, and you're holding a baby, feeding a baby, and that's the stuff, man. That is like that is the most important shit, right? Because the true friend walks in when the rest of the world walks out, and you learn real quick who your friends are and the people that you can rely on in the darkest moments. And I saw a dark moment for somebody, and I seen how quick you were to step up. And I've seen you do that multiple times, man. I seen you do that with another mutual friend of ours that just came back, like completely embrace and put right to work, and I've seen you do that multiple times, and that's a beautiful quality. The closest that you can get to God is to help another person, right, and to forgive another person, and I've seen you do that multiple times with multiple people, and that's a beautiful characteristic to have as a human being. That is the asset that you provide. That is why, me personally, I wanted to go into business with you when we first met, because you didn't care about money. It wasn't about money for you. You didn't care about you were like, this is cool because of the amount of people I could put on, the amount of people I could help, the excitement, holding meetings in the warehouse with a bunch of guys that all work on the same crew and sharing fucking feelings and all types of wild stuff, man. And just to see that and to watch that grow, you're a beautiful spirit. And the same with you, Dave and Chris. You're working on it, and I believe you can get there
someday.
No, but it's so true about what you were saying about Andy. He just like when we had to close the shop down because of everything going on. I went to his house and cut his hair one night, and he was like, "Why don't you just cut hair at the shop?" I'm like, "You want money for it?" He's like, "No." He's like, "I'm still gonna pay you for a haircut." I'm like, "All right, sweet."
Same thing when they initially started to close meeting halls before we understood how bad the virus was. Andy opened up the warehouse for addicts to come and hold meetings, you know, and now I see you doing the same thing with guys like Bam Bam. Shout out All Detailing. You know what I mean? Putting people on, providing opportunities, because that's all we can do. Because think about how desperate we were for opportunities in the early on, and when we get opportunities, you are now indebted to that opportunity in terms of providing the next one.
I know for me, if someone's grinding and asks for help, I don't care what it is. If I can, I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Like for Bam Bam doing the detailing, he's like, "Can I do it?" I'm like, "Absolutely, let's do it." So now it's evolving into another company, and he's doing fantastic because he has the drive and he just wants more and more and more and more. So I'll stick by him until he can't.
Absolutely.
And also big shout out to Christy, because with the infant, she primarily took it because she's not working because of the virus. And without her doing that, man, infants are not easy.
Nope.
Not at all.
No, they're good.
But it's worth it.
Christopher. Last year, but I mean, what do I even ask someone like you, for a question? You've answered all these questions.
I have.
What's a good question for Christopher?
Jeez.
How do we end this podcast? Whatever you do, I'll clean it up. You know what I mean? I'll fucking tie the bow at the end.
How long does it take you to get in those pants each morning?
Dude, it's not. These are the most comfortable pants, too. Skinny jeans. You would think they're not.
Dude,
but
I have a hole in the crotch of my jeans. I'm so insecure right now.
I'm staring at it right now.
Are you?
Yeah,
it's a
can you
good
tell?
sight.
I can't wait till we start wearing jorts again, because it's getting nice out.
Yo, and the thing is like, I remember when Adam was talking so much shit to me. He's like, dude, those jeans, oh my God. He went to, what's the place again? What's the store?
H&M.
And I bought him his first pair.
Pair
but
of spandex.
He wears them all the time now. I'm
yeah.
like, I got you.
He's got a nice little muffin ass too, dude.
Yeah,
He's got a nice butt.
Good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yours,
I wish
I
I
had to
had
work
an
on
ass.
it, yeah.
yeah, pancakey. Just kidding. Your ass is great. I told myself I wasn't gonna be mean to you no more, dude. And I'm gonna buy you some socks.
You didn't even last. Look, no, I'm with the ballerina. Ready? Oh, they fell. Little ballerina socks.
It's okay.
Yeah,
We'll start a
someday.
GoFundMe.
See how insecure I am? Jesus Christ, dude. I gotta explain myself. Man, I gotta call my sponsor.
Oh God. So
You talk about like going back. I wish I could go back in time and slap the shit out of myself when I was younger.
why?
Dude,
Talk about it.
I just like I had a good like upbringing, and like that's the stuff that keeps me awake at night now. Is like the fact that like I didn't listen to my parents or like my brothers, because like those were the role models. Like a lot of people that like guys I talked to like didn't have that, and like I had that in my house, but for some reason I just didn't. I didn't listen to it, and yeah, I think everyone's path and journey happens for a reason, and I think I went through, the pain and suffering I did in like hell I put myself through for a reason, and I'm just happy to like get linked up with like you talk about honesty and connection, the connection portion of it, and the community that I have around me, because now I'm able to like listen, and maybe I wasn't ready to hear the life advice my parents are giving me. I dwelled on like a bad past event of someone passing away, and to be honest, I feel like I just couldn't express myself at like 16 and a half years old, and I just
Last week.
that solution, yeah, I wish, but I took that solution of drugs and alcohol and ran with it. But I wish I could just slap the shit out of myself. I was a
we
punk.
don't know what we don't know, right?
Yeah.
You can only we have to become entirely ready. And how do we become entirely ready for anything, right? It's through the exhaustion of doing the same shit over and over and over again, to the point where we no longer want to feel the repercussions of these fucked up decisions. Like, and everything happens in time, right? And as much as we can look back in hindsight and play fucking Monday morning quarterback, we got to understand that everything that we've ever gone through was valuable. Some of the most valuable information we could have ever acquired, and it is a necessity, and it's not for us to understand in the midst of it. It's impossible to understand. We can only look back. That's why the beginning of this YouTube video called Unbroken, the first thing that it says in the video says we can't connect the dots looking forward. Can only connect the dots looking back. And that is so true, because I can look back and see God's hand in my lesson and everything looking back.
I wouldn't to get where I'm at today, and the feeling I get every morning I get when I'm on my way to the barbershop or something, I wouldn't take back a thing that I've done. I wouldn't,
because it could have changed the outcome of where you're at. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you look around in this specific people in your life, and you're in a specific place. Like, everything is interconnected, right? And obviously, like, if I could take back the things that I did and I went through and have it not affect my life and my outcome of where I'm at today, I would. But if I was to take it back and it would have changed the whole course of my life and sent me in a different direction with different people and different relationships and different opportunities, I wouldn't take it back. I go through all the pain all over again, and it's valuable, man. It's valuable when you have the wherewithal to take that shit and to dissect it and understand it. It's the same way we were talking about with relationships and breakups, right? A relationship and a breakup is only bad if you don't unravel the lesson within it, right? What is my mistakes? Where am I going wrong? And how do I learn from this so that history doesn't repeat itself?
Yeah.
Right. So or if I ever get the opportunity to be back with this person so I don't fuck it up again, or how do I prep myself for what is to come instead of just kicking and screaming and being a little bitch about it and fucking acting out and trying to fix feelings with feelings? It's like, what is the lesson in this, right? And can I sit still long enough to learn it? And that's like where the power of meditation comes in, sitting with self, allowing yourself to just be, feel the emotions. We have to feel it to heal it. We have to go through a process of fucking extreme uncomfortability. I guess that would be like my advice that I give me, man. Sit the fuck down. I give myself the Fred advice. You know, sit down, shut up, and take direction. Shout out Fred Bush, Uncle Fred, Grandpa Fred.
Freddie.
He probably doesn't listen to this either, but we're gonna get him on soon enough. So thank you guys for coming on the podcast. I'm never having you on again. That's for fucking sure. Chris, I'm borderline fucking getting rid of you next one. Shout out Justin. He's not here because we only have 4 mics, and we voted and
He didn't make the cut.
he didn't make the cut. Yeah. No, but we're eventually gonna have a 6 mic setup soon enough when my fucking brother figures it out. You know what I mean? Again, sponsored by Rich Print Shop, All Construction, Rise Barbershop. We'll peace.
Peace.